Welcome back to the Remix Educate Bootcamp series. It's great to see so many of you guys here. We've had a very strong turnout from this program, and we are about to kick off the Build Week, which is the exciting part of this program where you guys are all going to be starting to build things, and we'll see submissions by the end of it. So the goal of this session is simple: to get you guys set up, show you how to create a project on the platform, walk through how submissions are going to work, and to introduce you guys to some great speakers. We've got a double whammy with Erin and Matteo, and then Rob at the end, who's going to be talking from Remix. So there's a lot of information to cover in this session, but I will give you guys a bit of a rundown first on the platform system, how this is going to work with submissions, what Build Week is really about, and yeah, the information that you guys really need. So Build Week is basically a focus sprint where you guys are going to be building something which is real and something that is a working project on Remix, basically. So you can build solo or you can build in a team. There's no definitive cap size on team. Typically, this works well for teams of maybe 2 to 4 or something like that. But to be honest, most people work solo. So if you're working solo, that is definitely no hindrance to your progression. We have a couple of tracks on offer here, which you guys can build within. Hopefully, you've learned a lot of things about Remix, a lot of things about the AI systems that are in place here over the last couple of weeks. And these tracks are going to be covering things which you can build towards. So these are freestyle, healthcare, and global resilience. And you're allowed to submit into more than one track if you would like. Just make sure that it is meeting all the criteria for each of these. And then when it comes to submissions, you can select which tracks you guys have entered in for. What we were looking to see by the end of this, we're looking to see a working prototype, a demo, a live demo, a public GitHub repo. So this means it needs to be visible by the judges. It cannot be private. It can be private now, but come final submissions, which is on the 15th, of July. These need to be public repos so that the judges can see what you guys have been building. Everything is going to be submitted on the platform, which is where you guys are joining us today. There is a section on there to create a project. You all need to create a project if you wish to submit. Hopefully you guys are all wishing to submit things because you've learned lots and you want to be building now. You need to create a project. If you are competing solo, then no worries. If you are competing with a team, then there's an option to join another project. There's a code which you get. You can send that to your teammates, join different projects, and you can go from there. But you do need to create a project in order to submit. And then for submissions, you're going to need a challenge description. So this is what you built and the problem that you're going to be solving, the specific tracks which you guys have selected, the technologies which you have used, again, the public GitHub repo, a presentation which will be short, maybe a 3-minute presentation max, a couple of slides to overview on what you've built, the problems are solved, and how you got there, your building process as well. A demo video is always great to show your submission live in action. Maybe a Loom works quite well, where you're just recording with your webcam and then talking over a screen recording. That works quite well. And then a live deployed version link as well. So the deadline for these submissions are in a week now. So you have 1 week to get through this. I mean, it is Build Week after all. So Wednesday, the 15th of July is when you guys should have something to submit. And please don't leave this until the final 5 minutes, and make sure you are aware of certain time zones. You're aware of what the time zone is. It will be, if it's midnight anywhere in the world, then you will still be within the limitations of this deadline. So the deadline is Wednesday, the 15th at midnight, but make sure you submit on time. There are going to be no deadlines for this. If you submit late, then I'm afraid that's no good. So yes, now you have 1 week to build, and then after the Build Week, we'll have a period of judging. That's going to take about a week. That's going to be run by the Encode team, the Remix team, alongside some judges from Base as well. And then we will do an announcement where we will announce the finalists. Typically, maybe 6 to 8 projects, or maybe 10, depending how many receive, how many are fantastic, and the sort of overview of the cohort. We will determine how many finalists there are, and then we will do an announcement, and then we will do a demo day for the best projects who will get to pitch their presentations live on a webinar similar to this. And then we will announce the winners as well. And the finalists this is all going to be announced on the 22nd of July. The information is going to be is already on the platform page. It's on the Discord as well, on the announcement section there. So if you guys are wanting to hear any more information, then head over to the platform, head over to the Discord, because it is all there. I think that basically covers up, hopefully, all you guys need to know about this build week, where to submit, and the platform page, how this all works. The main thing really is deadlines are in 1 week. And in order to submit, you need to create a project on the platform page. Should be relatively straightforward. If you are stuck, DM me on Discord or send me an email. There are links to do so on the platform, and I'm on Discord. I'm the one doing all the announcements on the Discord, so I should be relatively easy to find. Okay, and without further ado, I think I'm going to hand over to our first judge. We have our first speaker. We have two fantastic speakers today. We are going to be thinking about real-world use cases for what you guys are building. So I'm delighted to introduce Erin from Engineering for Change. And I will hand over to Erin. We'll have a 15-minute talk from Erin, and then Matteo is going to pop up from Spaghetti, and then Rob will cover all things from Remix and his side, and then we'll wrap up at the end. So, Erin, over to you.
Thank you so much. Can you see my screen?
All good.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. I'm Erin Pfeiffer. I'm Program Manager with Engineering for Change, or E4C for short. Thank you so much to the organizers for inviting me to present today. I would like to use my time today to share just a few lessons about human-centered design and how it can help create more impactful solutions for real-world challenges. So for those of you who may be unfamiliar with Engineering for Change, we are a global organization working at the intersection of engineering and sustainable development. We are a nonprofit dedicated to preparing, educating, and activating the international technical workforce to improve the quality of life of people on the planet. And we do this by providing resources that are available on our platform, engineeringforchange.org, as well as access to expertise to accelerate the development of solutions and really infuse engineering into sustainable development. We were founded jointly by the American Society of Mechanical Engineers and other leading engineering societies in 2009. And to date, we've completed over 200 research and design projects with partners from all over the world. And from these projects, we've seen similar patterns that emerge regardless of what the challenge is, whether that involves clean water, or housing, or digital technology. So I'll be sharing some of those as it relates to human-centered design today. So before we talk about human-centered design specifically, I wanted to start first with the design process at large. And it's worth noting that there's many design frameworks out there, and you've probably seen many of these online, encountered a lot of different ones using slightly different language, but sharing common themes. The double diamond is one of my favorites because it clearly shows the process of divergence and convergence. And I know that for you all entering into Build Week, you're very much on that second diamond, on that convergence, where you're delivering a solution. So a lot of what I'm going to be talking about today is actually focused on that first diamond in the problem definition phase. And so what I would say is, if you're looking to take your solution forward, hopefully some of this is helpful for the future. As a lot of builders really want to jump into that second half, and human-centered design spends a lot of time kind of in that first half in the problem definition. So for the remainder of the presentation, I'll be referring mostly to E4C's design process, similar to the others, but there's plan, learn, design, realize, and sustain with these iterative loops, because design is very much not a linear process. And you'll notice many similarities, including with Stanford's, sorry, my computer's lagging. With Stanford's D-School's process. And I'm just including that here because they are big thought leaders in the human-centered design space and have some really great resources that are worth checking out. So on to the topic, what is human-centered design? At its core, it is a creative approach to problem solving that puts people at the center of the process. So technical folks often start with, what can the model do? What can the technology do? But human-centered design emphasizes the importance of starting first with what people need. And there are 3 ideas I'd encourage you to remember, which is start with people, involve them throughout, and iterate based on feedback. So ultimately, solutions should start and end with the people that they are meant to serve. Starting the design process in the learn phase, what we're really trying to do is empathize with the end users. So we're seeking to understand people's needs, motivations, and aspirations. And to do that, we often use methods like interviews, observations, immersions, could include journey mapping, and also paying attention to what people say versus what people do. So for example, if I were building an AI assistant for disaster response, my first question wouldn't be which model should I use? It's who is making decisions in the field, what information do they need, and how am I going to go about finding out this information? Once we have gathered that information, we need to make sense of it. I'm sharing here just some lightweight tools that can help in this process, including stakeholder mapping that helps you document who's involved, what are their roles and interests and influence. And this can be really helpful in revealing power dynamics and potential conflicts in priorities that might exist. Another tool is PESTLE analysis. It stands for political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal. So this tool helps us zoom out and understand the broader environment and external considerations, because the solution can very much be technically sound and still fail if it doesn't fit into the economic, social, or regulatory context. And lastly, personas can help you take all the information that you learned about your end users, like typical demographics and behaviors, and create fictional profiles that can help with further building empathy and understanding for target users. So instead of asking, would users like this, you can ask, would Claire or whoever your persona is find this useful in her daily life? So these tools can help turn observations into insights and can help in revealing some assumptions that you might be making without even realizing it. So moving into the design phase, this is where you begin exploring solutions. To do this, you can brainstorm and benchmark existing approaches, working directly with stakeholders through code creation and rapid prototypes, so things like mock-ups and wireframes, paper prototypes if you're building something physical, or low-fidelity demos. And the goal here isn't to find the perfect answer immediately. The goal is to test assumptions and quickly learn, because very much the cheapest mistake you make is one you make before you've built anything. And I wanted to flag that as part of the benchmarking process, there is a resource on E4C's website, which is our solutions library, which is an open access database of technologies for resource constrained settings with standardized data that can help in decision making. We have over 1,200 solutions in our database, and you can see that it spans 8 different sectors such as agriculture, health, energy, and ICT. ICT is probably of most interest to most of you. And within that sector, there's things like e-health and m-health that are further aligned with the tracks. Basically, it can be really helpful to understand what's already been tried and learning from existing solutions before you try to reinvent the wheel. So I encourage you to check out that resource. So the final stage, and apologies, my computer is lagging a little bit. Once we've developed a solution, we move into the realize and sustain phase. And so this involves deployment, testing, feedback, and iteration. But equally important is thinking about long-term adoption. So who maintains the solution, who pays for it, what happens if it breaks? Many technologies fail not because the technology itself is ineffective, but because long-term adoption and sustainability were never considered. I have a stat on the slide about hand pumps, but this applies just as much to digital tools as physical ones. So I wanted to take a few minutes here to highlight a few case studies that I think do a good job of highlighting what human-centered design looks like in practice. So this first example has nothing to do with AI. In fact, there's no technology that was built through this process or for this project, but I think that's why it's so valuable. The lesson here isn't about technology. It's about understanding context before introducing technology. So this project was conducted in partnership with Maple Micro Development, an organization that established the Mbale Center for Innovation and Design in Eastern Uganda to support an ecological resilience, entrepreneurship, and community-led innovation. And the center's goal was to empower local innovators while strengthening the connection between community traditions, environmental stewardship, and economic opportunity. So rather than starting with the technology and looking for a problem to solve, the project started with a different question, which was how can local traditions, indigenous knowledge, and community perspectives inform the design, adoption, and long-term impact of water, energy, and food technologies? And so through interviews, community narratives, observations, and engagement with local elders, the team explored how understanding context could lead to more relevant and sustainable solutions. And what I find particularly compelling about this project is that it goes beyond understanding users' needs. It also asks who gets to define the problem and who gets to shape the solution. So there's a short passage from the report that I think captures this idea really well. So the more power and ownership a community has in the solutions that impact their well-being, the more prepared they will be to address problems they value, and the more capable they will be to survive and thrive through economic, ecological, and social crises. Community members must have a say in both the problem space, identifying what should be considered a valuable issue worth addressing, and solution space, determining potential and final solutions of design initiatives. Importantly, they should have veto power when plans start to go in an undesirable direction. And I think the lesson from this case study applies just as much to AI or whatever you're building through this boot camp as it does with water, agriculture, or energy technologies. Another example of human-centered design comes from Build Change, an organization focused on disaster resilient housing. We've worked with them on a number of projects over the years. And what I wanted to highlight here is that their biggest innovation and contribution to shaping the sector wasn't a new building technology. It was actually just rethinking who gets to make decisions. So they helped move the sector away from donor-driven reconstruction and towards homeowner-driven reconstruction. Instead of giving people houses, they helped people design and build the houses they actually wanted. And this human-centered design at its core, not just solving problems for people, but giving people agency in the solution themselves. And so if we're building something for communities, are we treating people as recipients of technology, or are we giving them meaningful decision-making power in shaping the solution? And then I just have one final case study, and this is one that you might be familiar with because it serves as a cautionary tale of what can happen when a project starts technology first rather than people and context first. So this is one laptop per child. The goal of the project was to give every child a laptop to improve educational outcomes. The technology worked. Millions of dollars were invested and laptops were distributed in dozens of countries. But long-term evaluations found little evidence in improved educational outcomes, in part because classroom adoption was limited and the program often underestimated the importance of teacher support, local context, and how technology would actually be used in practice. So if they were looking to build a low-cost laptop, they definitely succeeded. But if they were looking to build a low-cost laptop that would be used to improve educational outcomes, less so. The question should have been, how do students learn? How do teachers teach? And what support systems are needed for this technology to create value? I think this lesson is especially relevant because deploying any sort of system is not the same as creating impact. So we also have to think about adoption and trust and how it'll be used day to day. So if you only remember 3 things from today, I'd encourage you to remember, start with people, not technology, design with users, not for them, and context determines whether a solution works, because a good solution in the wrong context is a failed solution. I know many of you are spending this boot camp learning how to build powerful technical systems, and I know you're in Build Week right now. And so going forward, thinking about, not can we build it, but a complementary question of should we build it this way for these people and in this context? Because the most impactful technologies aren't necessarily the most sophisticated ones. They're the ones that people actually end up using. Thank you very much for your time. If you're interested in learning more about engineering for change or ways to get involved, I'd love to connect. Feel free to email me. I have my email there up on the slide. We recently wrapped up an AI pilot and are exploring what AI for sustainable development looks like, and are always eager to connect with domain experts. So I will leave it there.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Erin. If you want to chuck in your email into the chat here, then everyone can see it. That'd be, if anyone does want to contact you about anything. But yeah, very interesting talk that. Lots covered. And hopefully useful to you guys in Build Week as well. And I think we'll head on to the next one with Matteo now, from Spaghetti. Yeah, take it away, Matteo.
Thank you, Gilles. Thank you for the invitation. Hello, everyone. And thank you also to Rob and Andrew from Remix EDE, which is, I guess, the first tool that taught me a lot, and the first sandbox that I really, really used back in the days, and now even more with their new implementations to test smart contracts. So I'll share my screen, and I'll start talking about some interesting use cases of Ethereum technology. Can you see? Can you? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So one disclaimer first, we are having some blackouts here in northern Italy. So if the signal dropped, you know what's happened. And second, we move from Ethereum as a infrastructure for DeFi. At this point is quite vastly deployed for stable coins and payments, etc. But Ethereum is also being explored more and more on the civic tech and institutional adoption side. So let's dig into that. So my name is Matteo Tambusi. I co-founded the Italian community better known as Spaghetti, and now I'm working for Hubs Network and a European project for tokenization of sustainability habits within power consumption. Previously, I worked for the Ethereum Community Fund, Stake Capital, Rect, Stable Summit. I helped Remix with an educational program called Ethereum 4, and even my first job was at LivePeer, decentralized transcoding protocol. So Ethereum is a civic tech. As a civic tech, is not just software for public services. It's an infrastructure for citizens to coordinate, prove, govern, and most importantly, fund and defend collective action. It's most importantly is a bottom-up technology which is designed to earn political recognition. So what we are targeting today are a few bullet points. The first one is obsolete and not interoperable PA digital stack. For example, storage of tax receipts. In Italy, you have to keep your receipts for, I guess, more like a decade. And if you don't, you incur in a fine, even if you paid already. So that is definitely a use case that most population are waiting for. Some decentralized storage where all the tax and fine payments are successfully stored. Civic wallets replacing all the digital ID silos that we have in Italy. For example, we have different digital ID providers, which are private, and they are poorly interconnected with each other and with the state applications. So something that's been researched so far is also sort of more comprehensive digital ID wallet-based. Then we have, for example, opaque legislation. I'm talking about guerrilla gardening, for example, or something is missing here, active citizenships, where citizens take action to improve the local conditions of their public goods, but there is no legislation or no vouching, no storage for those actions happening anywhere, no public independent layer to vouch for these actions. Then we have lacking of citizen source data, which I will show with a proof of concept that we built with Ethereum Community Fund last year. And then we have something very important, for example, lacking granularity, which is smart taxation, for example. It's being talked a lot, especially in the last 2 years here in Italy, that many taxpayers said, I don't want my taxes to go into NATO or to weapons funding. I want my taxes to go into the local hospital, into cancer research, etc. So they would like the government to implement something more granular that represents each taxpayer's inclinations. That also applies to smart voting. I suppose that most of you know the quadratic voting function and the quadratic funding and Harberger tax functions as smart taxation to tax public and public goods. Then we have social value extraction. Not all the neighborhood economies are properly accounted for at economic level, financial level, public level. Just think about that in Italy, if you're an activist or a volunteer, you end up by default in a non-paid or non-remunerated category, while until maybe 7 years ago, there was a gray area where you could at least get some payment on your expenses, some reimbursement. So there's also Ethereum as a layer to create side economies to support these volunteer and activism. Then we have centralized media that definitely need a different approach. This is, by the way, a European agenda to fight fake news with new stack of media. And then, as I said, there's interoperability between the grid, the PA, and incentive creation for good habits. For example, right now I'm having my AC set at 27 degrees. Outside is 36. Most of public exercises and shops, they set it at 18 degrees, which is an insane amount of power consumption, etc. So we are going into an era where your sustainability habits will be rewarded possibly with tokens. So, okay, there is a disclaimer to do. The most important is that, are we going into hyper-financialization of social habits, etc.? Yes, possibly we are. Having said that, most of the progress that we are facing, for example, installing solar panel on your rooftops and photovoltaic usually come with public incentives. So the public incentives is tightly connected to public progress at a certain point. So I don't mind hyper-financialization, especially these days when I think that everything is so money-oriented. So why not tying tokens, incentives to good habits? So building civic tech. I'm borrowing this flow from the University of Turin that has developed an interesting application that I'll show you later. And basically, as we talk about civic tech, we need, as Erin said within the human design concept earlier, we need to start with participatory design and a bit of a grasp on the social, urban, and digital geography of users, and a bit of monetary theory. These three connect together in different ways to generate cohesive and comprehensive and shared UI UX design and case-specific economic sociology. Then we get down into creating facilitated digital UIs and tokenomics, and then we go into smart contract developments as the last step. So the first use case is bottom-up neighborhood economies. And this is an app developed by the University of Turin called Commonsud. Basically, they divided Turin into different areas and social centers, museums, recreational hubs, etc. And they allowed them within a pilot to issue vouchers under the form of ERC-721, so non-fungible tokens, and creating crowd sales smart contracts that is interoperable between all these crowd sales in order to incentivize the flow between the given museum and the related social center or community hub nearby. It's a very interesting project that I suggest you to have a look at, commonsud.eu. Decentralized knowledge bases. This is a project that I was personally involved in called Pensive. Pensive is a decentralized knowledge base similar to Wikipedia, but Wikipedia is centralized, is sort of is open permissioned, let's say, but it has tiers, and apparently there's a couple of guys just making 70% of all the entries. Pensive is a fully decentralized knowledge base. Our vertical was Web3 project. So is a sort, I don't know if you're familiar with Messari. So Messari is a provider of information for Web3 stacks, for Aave, for Morpho, and all these decentralized finance platforms. But all the informations usually are founder provided. So what we built is a public database, decentralized for keep the versioning of the truth up to date from the community. Another interesting use case of this project is our knowledge bases for local public administration. So hubs or neighborhoods can curate local knowledge bases to keep track of the current state of works or the grid or the crime rates or whatever you want. And on top of that, you can also build AI agents that sort of sum up the consensus and give a taste, a pulse of the public consensus on a daily basis, which is something that similar to the digital twin for politicians. Voting and polling, we have an application that's been widely used by Ethereum at DevCon called Agora Citizen. It's a Web3, let's say Web3 hybrid because it allows Web3 logins and most importantly allows AI wrap-up of the polls, of the outcome of the polls of a given conversation. It's been also used in France as a pilot in some regional municipalities, as long as I know. Decentralized media. This is a project that we developed with Spaghetti. It's a web radio. It's a decentralized web radio. So usually as a web radio, you go, for example, to virgin.co.uk, and you have the live stream going on, which is centrally curated. On web3radio.at, we have a player that constantly reads from a playlist and live palimpsest smart contracts. So whenever the live smart contract has no live connection to offer, the player by default goes into playlist, which is just a list of songs, decentrally storage on IPFS and Piñata, and randomly gets one songs and played back. In another case, you can use the live feature to book your live stream by using LivePeer or RTMP, and you store that information on chain, and when it's your time, you can basically just go on a radio and stream. So it's decentrally managed with smart contracts. Something that we are about to implement in this is also Harberger tax. So it means that whenever it's my turn to go live stream, there will be an auction for my banner, for the banner for my slot, and which is open to bids. On-chain settlements, this is actually quite an interesting use case, which is public in Italy, and it's the first company that has breached into citizen services in Italy. It's called Tracti. What they do is basically they use the Ethereum blockchain or a proof of authority of the Ethereum blockchain to store the information for train reimburses. Yeah. So basically, whenever you manage a request to get your train reimbursed, that will happen through a smart contract. Thank you. I'm a bit early, 2 minutes early. Maybe I can show, a project that I've been working on recently, which is Hubs Network. Hubs Network is a network of hubs and pilgrims, digital pilgrims. So basically we are creating a network where digital talents or technological talents can travel to hubs and basically do residencies at them. They can go them and fix A, B, C, or implement solution X, Y, Z, and they will basically get food, accommodation, and also we are about to implement a credit system. How it works, basically when you register a hub, there's all sorts of information that you have to add, but what you end up with are hubs that are basically identified with multi-sig, for example. So in this case, I have where is it? Edit profile. Whenever you register a hub, automatically a safe, a multi-sig wallet is created where you can add all your hub co-owner, and they will be basically the co-managers of this space, as well as accepting pilgrims for residencies, etc. When you instead register as a pilgrim, you have to go to a hub, and let me see, I can go to, for example, I already have a pilgrim SBT, which is a non-transferable NFT, basically, that we use as a passport. But when you go to a hub as a new pilgrim, you can ask that hub for vouching for you as a digital pilgrim. So we are connecting real life hub with real life pilgrim with Web3 technology and mutual attestation. This is a proof of concept that I welcome you to have a look at, app.hubsnetwork.org. We will be starting soon with a pilot running from November to next summer. If you are into residencies and tech, that might be a project for you. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Matteo. Another great workshop there. I think we've got one question in the chat from Daniel. I don't know, Matteo, can you see the chat?
Yeah, I can. Web3 Radio, which network? It's on Optimism. I can also send you the smart contracts if you're interested in knowing more. 1 second. This is the decentralized schedule, and this is the playlist, I guess. So these tools we developed within Spaghetti as educational toys. That's what we do also with Spaghetti. We take Web3 technology and develop simple solutions for small communities that can play around with Web3 technology.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for dropping the links on as well. Daniel, there we go. You can read those and do your like with them, share them, or view them as well. Okay. We will move on to our final workshop now. We've got Rob from Remix, who I think, Rob, you're going to be talking about a bit more about Build Week, what to expect from it, and what you guys are looking for. And yeah, Rob, I'll hand over to you.
Okay. Well, actually, I was going to do a quick review of some things in Remix.
Okay.
And I'll go to it with the screen share. Basically, am I sharing? You can. Okay. In preparing, yeah, there's one concept here for you guys is trying to be aware of when you're going down the wrong rabbit hole, and trying to, because you got presented with a lot of new technology and also a lot of new features in Remix to play around with, and it takes a while to get up to speed with each of the technologies, and sometimes you can find yourself going through going down rabbit holes you didn't expect to go down, and then you can't make a project because you went down too many different holes and you can't tie everything together. So that's one thing I'm warning about, and I started finding my own rabbit holes as I was preparing this presentation. So, but I wanted to give you some pointers to Remix in case you had missed some of them, and then to go over how to work with skills, AI skills. So one thing in making the Remix AI work well is that you always need to be aware of the context. And if you change your workspace and you notice that the LLM, that the chat is from the old one, you should make a new AI chat. You should make sure you know which LLM you're using, because if you change the LLM, that will change the context. And same thing about workspaces, and actually in the stop button, like sometimes I wanted to hit the stop button because I think this is taking too long. I wasn't looking at a stopwatch or anything, but sometimes you can hit the stop button too soon, and sometimes you can't hit it soon enough. So I don't have actually the right answer there, or an answer there at all. It's just that you have to be aware that the stop button is there, but sometimes the AI response takes longer than you would like it to. And just so you know, like we did go over this a little bit, but there are a lot of connectors, that's what we call them now, MCPs and APIs that Remix is connected to. And so like that's one, this prompt here is for hitting up Etherscan and getting the address, or getting the API so you could make a DApp with it, or just bringing it into Remix. And so, and also the /generate, if you use this as a prompt, /generate, that will make a new workspace. Or you could also use the new workspace button. And then you can also just tell it to compile the contract, deploy it, deploy the contract. Anyway, so this is just a little reminders of things you can use in Remix. And also, I don't know if you've all played with QuickDAP yet, but you can, that's when you hit the little kebab icon there, and you get this fly up menu saying create a DApp. And then, yeah, and then you can create a DApp with QuickDApp on a smart contract, and in a minute, you can also do it from a subgraph. So here, let's kind of go over a few things in Remix. Here, just close there. We do have a couple contracts here, but I just wanted to, like, you want to load something here in the AI channel chat window. You can click load skills or load AI checklist. So we'll get into skills in a minute, but there's a lot of different audit categories to choose from. And actually, it's kind of interesting. Like there's a lot here. So, and in order to choose a to do a full audit, or at least an audit with a checklist, you have to choose at least one of these. Otherwise, it will just run it with Slither. But understanding what these attack vectors are can be really helpful. It also can teach you a lot about Solidity and the whole Solidity ecosystem. Okay. And then you can kind of read through them, because these checklist files are written in Markdown. And then they'll give a report. Yeah, anyway. So let's go back here. This is a new feature. I don't know if you've tried it yet, but if you hover over a function, like in this case, a pop-up window will come here, and it will talk about the function or whatever the code snippet you have is that you've selected here. And then you could open it up in Remix in the AI assistant, and it will do an analysis of either that part of the code or the file. So this could be helpful for finding security problems. It could be helpful for figuring out how to write better code. Yeah, and so just to sum up again, the Chainlink integrations. If you're planning to use Chainlink, you should try this tool that Solange had demoed, cre.solange.dev. And then you can kind of do the scaffold of the CRE project. And then you can open it up in Remix Desktop, export it to Remix Desktop, and then you can start developing it from there. So I just wanted to remind you guys of this tool. And then for the graph integrations, if you have a subgraph, which you can just grab from the AI assistant, you can say, like, if you go to the Graph Explorer, or you can just ask it to find you a subgraph on a certain subject. But if you have a subgraph inside a remix with a .subgraph extension, then with a flyout menu here, when you right-click in the File Explorer, you can either create a DAP from the subgraph, or you can run the query, the subgraph query. And so you can start playing around with subgraphs. So that's another good thing to keep track of. And also in the in the settings panel, that's where you put the graph API key in. Also now, when you're making a quick DAP, it'll ask you, like, in addition to if you wanted a base mini app and to have it, the design, to choose a design, it'll ask you if you want to have a subgraph included here to query. And if you have one set up, then you can have one that's a front end for a smart contract, but also querying a subgraph. Yeah, and these are some queries just about talking about the connection between the Remix AI assistant and subgraph. And so actually I did that. I made a bunch of them. Is it this one? Wait a minute. Actually, did I make some subgraphs? Yeah, I made one subgraph here that way. I just put it in the, I made a query here to bring in an ENS subgraph. And when you make the subgraph, just remember you need to have this endpoint stuff, the header with a pound, in this format, and also have this empty bracket here. And that's what gets interpolated with your API key. Okay, I mean, another thing here, and I think we'll start getting to skills now, but if you load too many skills, like I have in this situation, and they're all about different stuff, it's going to confuse the AI. So you should keep track of your skills and not have too many in the same workspace, because it's just going to have more information, because the AI assistant is going to know what it's going to read through the File Explorer to get more context if you ask it a question. And in fact, I was here. I will talk about this one. This project is one where I started making a skill for the amphibian regulations for how many amphibians you can catch in Pennsylvania. Sounds kind of obscure. And so I made a skill for that. But I started with an empty workspace, so there was no context. And then actually I asked first, I mean, the best approach was to use Claude. Let's see, do I have Claude over here? I have Claude over here. So my query in Claude was, can you make a skill about, well, this is about the Palmer drought index. There's probably another one here. Yeah. I found on page 18 of this PDF some information about catching amphibians in Pennsylvania. Now, and then when I ran this into Remix, I had to, it wanted me to paste the information into the AI, and it made a skill. But when I pasted this into Claude here, it found the page 18. It read it right from this URL, and then it found additional additional information, and then it built it. So let me go back to the beginning. Over here. Well, I'm bouncing ahead a little bit. I think I'm going to come back to that idea. Okay. Skills. Yeah. Marcus, in his video from the graph, wanted to make this subgraph, local subgraph, and he pasted in a page from his documentation into Claude or the AI assistant. And essentially what that is doing is making a skill. And the skill is like procedural knowledge for the AI to follow. And so he was giving it the docs. So you can easily like paste a skill into the AI assistant and tell it to make a skill file. You could also do it in Claude and then import that into Remix. And the way you do that is you go to, maybe I'll go to this one. This has a lot of skills here. So when you go to skills, load, or here, actually I'm gonna go this way. See these little pill over here? Load skills, and then you go to upload the skill. And then you can just drag it in. If you did it in Claude, if you did it in the Remix AI assistant, then it should be already in the right folder, especially if you call it the skills folder. So what else we got? Anyway, so I also was like playing around with this drought idea. Like, I want to make a skill file so I could make a smart contract that would use like standard drought terminology. So I was searching around for what that could be. I came up with this Palmer drought index, and then I put that into Claude, and it made a skill quite easily, and it had the front matter. Here, I'll talk about that. Oops. When you're importing it into Remix, the front matter is the name and the address. And if you make it without the front matter, it's the skills uploader is going to protest. So you just have to know about front matter. And so my preferred workflow here was to write it in Claude and then import it into Remix. And these were some example prompts. Oh yeah, by the way, when you make a skill file, like, okay, so if you give Claude, or you just put it into the AI assistant, a website like Marcus did, it'll work fine. But if you're not really sure, like, like I want to make I did one where I wanted to query about, I wanted to make sure I was following MiCA standards, which is the European standards for crypto. And so I found a site that had lots of instructions about MiCA. And then, so I put that into Remix. I put it also in Claude. I tried in Claude. But I didn't test it. So I assume that's going to be correct because I'm giving it some good source material. But and as well with the skills that are already in Remix, some of these are just AI created. So it would be good to test whatever skills you create. Like if you make it in Claude, then test it in Gemini and see if Gemini finds the skill file that you made from Claude works well. What else we got? Okay, we're not quite done because I wanted to show off this site. So anyway, this started out as a blank file, a blank workspace. I made a skill file from that Pennsylvania amphibian regulations. Then I used this prompt to make a contract that regulates the capture of salamanders and frogs in Pennsylvania. Put it in the contracts folder and use the appropriate skill because the skill was already in here. I'd already imported it. Then it made this contract. And then from this contract over here, I deployed it to Sepolia. And then very quickly, I hit the 3 buttons wherever they are. Oops. Anyway, I hit the 3 buttons, or you can make it here, and it loaded up QuickDApp, and I used so I didn't make it as a base mini app because it asked 4 questions now. If I wanted to, I can pull up that prompt. Yeah. I wanted it inline. Inline means it's going to be in the same workspace. I didn't want it to be a base mini app. The design, I wanted it to be pastoral. And I didn't want to have a subgraph as part of this. And so now it looks like, oh, it's all done. And you kind of can scroll around. But actually, this is not deployed. And the reason is because in my screen, here, actually, let me just quickly, I can close the AI panel. And I can open it up again, just so you know these kind of things. I want to show you these little buttons here. Also, like the terminal, if you don't see the terminal, click that button. Also, right now, this is in browser storage, so I didn't save it to the cloud. I'll enable it. Oops. That might have been a mistake. But anyway, if I go here, I can migrate to the cloud, and then I would choose the workspaces that I want to migrate. But I'm going to turn that off right now, disable. And now I have to go back to the salamander one. And I go to QuickDApp. So in QuickDApp, when I scroll down to the bottom here, I can see this is where you would publish to IPFS, and this is where you would name it. But in some screens, if you don't have enough room, you're going to have to scroll down to find these controls. So it's deployed, and I'm going to name it Salamander. Salamander 1. And then I register that subdomain, and it's registering it. So then, okay, so just so you know, you can quickly whip up apps, you can quickly whip up skill files. And let's go back to there was one thing over here I wanted to show you, which, where is it? It's right over here. No, it's right over. Oh man. Okay, I'm going to show it to you live. Look at this. When you're in the Remix VM and you go over here, the 3 buttons here, you can generate a private key. And then when you scroll up the terminal, you can see the public key and the private key. So sometimes, like for working with different projects and technologies, you have to, quickly get a private key together, and then hunting around in the Remix VM or in MetaMask. I mean, and this is just a burner thing because you're looking at this. There's no money in this, but just playing around with it, it's a great little tool for getting a private key generated in a working address. And that is what I got for you today. Let's see. This one. Yeah. Okay. I will stop sharing. Oops. Am I still sharing?
No, you're all good, all wrapped up now.
Okay.
Okay, sweet, awesome. Thank you very much to you, Rob, for that. Another good workshop from you guys. That wraps up our Build Week workshop now. So we have 3 fantastic little workshops all into one there. And that officially kicks off Build Week as well. So yeah, thank you guys very much. Matteo and Rob, feel free to drop any links or anything, or share them with me, and I can share them with the participants afterwards if you have any presentations or links, and I can chuck them in the Discord for everyone. A quick recap for all you guys still watching, the participants, is that now you need to go away and build. Make sure that your GitHub repo is public at the end of this. Get your submissions in by Wednesday midnight next week on the 15th. And then we'll announce the finalists the weekend, the following week after that. And then 2 weeks on from the deadline date on the 15th of July, we'll have the demo day and the finalists will all be announced then. So best of luck to all of you guys building. If you have any questions at all, feel free to DM me on Discord, send me an email or whatever. All the information should be on the platform. And yeah, good luck to all you guys.
There is a question in the chat.
Oh, is there? Let me see. Where is it?
Must ADAPT include all the technologies? No. That's you don't need to include all the technologies.
Nice. Is that all the questions done? I think so. Yeah, sweet. Oh, Matteo, I'll see you. If you've sent me any links, do you mind just sending them to me on Telegram as well? Just because I think this chat will be closed after this meeting. But thank you guys very much for joining, and looking forward to seeing all your submissions. All right, bye guys.